Hi everyone. Today I wanted to walk you through the different data collection stages associated with HMIS enrollments and when you should be updating which data collection stage. And while today we're going to focus primarily on the One Home Coordinated Entry project in HMIS, at a high level, this guidance does apply to every HMIS project type. So to begin with, you can think of these data collection stages as snapshots that reflect each person's situation at the time you're collecting their information in the system. So to begin, we have Project Start, the entry screen within HMIS enrollments, which is a snapshot of the client's situation at the time they are enrolled into the project. Moving on, we have status updates and annual assessments. And really, these are snapshots of their situation that are happening between when they're enrolled and when they're exited. Status updates contain the exact same questions as annual assessments, but status updates can be used at any point after enrollment, whereas annual assessments are to be used at the anniversary of their HMIS project start date into the program. So we'll get into that in a moment. And then finally, project exit is a snapshot of the person's situation at the time they're being exited. And you're going to see that there's a lot of overlap in the fields that are included in these different data collection stages. There are some that are only on the entry screen, and we'll dive into those in the interface. And there's one that's only available on the exit screen, kind of these data elements that are specific to these different data collection stages. And for One Home and other project types that require it, specifically street outreach and night-by-night emergency shelters, there's also another data collection stage that's known as the current living situation assessment. And this is really a snapshot of the living situation a person is in at the time of each contact that you're having with them. And contact is really just a touch base, right? You're interacting with them in some way, you're hearing from them, and you're verifying where are they currently staying in that moment when you're making that contact. The expectation from HUD for coordinated entry and the other project types that have to collect this current living situation is that each and every time you have an interaction or contact with them, you create a current living situation. And transparently, this is the best way to keep clients active in our One Home Coordinated Entry project, creating these timely current living situation updates every time you interact with the person. It helps us verify that they're still experiencing homelessness or in need of a housing resource. And it also can help us know whether, if they're no longer experiencing homelessness, we may need to remove them from our community queue or exit them from the One Home Coordinated Entry project in general. And you're always welcome to reach out to our coordinated entry team, our HMIS team, to verify next steps if you're uncertain what to do when you're creating a current living situation and getting information that makes you think maybe this person no longer needs a housing resource. So without further ado, I'm going to pop into Clarity and kind of show you these different data collection stages in action. So I've created an enrollment in our training site. This is fake information. And I'm not going to go through like how to create an enrollment, but I am going to kind of show you some differences in these data collection stages. So this is the entry screen. We're on the enrollment tab within their enrollment in our training program. And if we scroll down, those prior living situation questions, which are, where was this person staying immediately before being connected to the project, right? Where did they stay last night? This is the only place in the interface or in the enrollment where this prior living situation is captured. It's once per enrollment to reflect where they were staying prior to the project start. So we'll keep on scrolling. Disabling conditions, as we saw in the slides a moment ago, the specific disabling conditions and the DV, victim or survivor status, and income, non-cash benefits, and health insurance, all of these fields are available in status updates and annual assessments and exit screens, so you can track changes to things that may have occurred for this person over time. But the entry screen is the snapshot of the data that you collected at the time you enrolled this person. You really should not be making changes to anything on the enrollment screen unless you made a mistake or there's a data quality issue that you were trying to fix. Otherwise, this data reflects the person's situation at the time that they were enrolled. So for this example, this is their information as of January 1st, 2022, and it should remain the same unless I made a mistake or have data quality issues I need to fix. The only exception to that guidance is the overall disabling condition question. This yes/no question here. It also has client doesn't know, refusing data not collected, but disabling condition, the overall question, not the specifics, is only available on the entry screen. And this is a HUD data standard. You can only collect the overall, does this person have a disabling condition, yes or no, once per enrollment. All of the specific disabilities, like physical disabilities, all the way down through substance abuse problems, these are going to be available on status updates and annual assessments and exit screens in case something has changed for the person that you need to track changes over time for. It's possible that you might need to switch back to the entry screen to change the overall yes/no question if they had all no's, for example, initially, and then a disabling condition is identified later, or maybe they feel more comfortable sharing that detail with you later. If you need to update the overall question, you have to come back to the entry screen to do so. This question doesn't exist anywhere else in the enrollment. So I'm going to go ahead and move on. We have the example for the snapshot of the person's situation at the time they were enrolled. Let's go over to the assessments tab within the program enrollment now. And within the assessments, you're going to see status updates available and annual assessments available and current living situations available. And for the sake of time, I've gone ahead and created some examples of current living situations. So my person was enrolled on January 1st of 2022. And in my example, I've set up a cadence with this person where I'm going to check in with them every month in the middle of the month to verify what's going on with them and see how they're doing. So I've created a current living situation on January 15th when I had a touch base with them, on February 15th when I had a touch base with them, and March 15th when I had a touch base with them. Again, every time you have an interaction with that person, you should be tracking a current living situation assessment within the One Home enrollment to document where they're staying in that moment and if they're still in need of a housing resource. There are currently custom fields in our current living situation that we use for other prioritization needs. Again, for the sake of time, I just wanted to show you, you create a current living situation from right here. I'll go ahead and start a new one. I'll click add current living situation. And in my example, 04/115/2022 would be the next touch base that I had. And in this instance, the person is still staying in a place not meant for habitation. So I add a date, I add the current living situation. We have a bunch of custom fields that are available here to collect additional data as we're able to. I'm just going to save and close this for the time being to mark that I had an interaction with them and they are still experiencing homelessness as of the 4/15 date that I used. But let's say that on 4/15, I find out that there's been a change to their income, right? So to track a change after enrollment, I'd want to create a status update. As long as the date associated with when I'm tracking this change is not 365, it's not the anniversary, right? It's not at least 365 days after the project start date. It's just, this is going to be 4/15/2022. When I had a contact with that person, I found out their income changed. I would not want to update their income on their enrollment screen because I would overwrite the data I previously entered. So I'd want to go to the status update assessment. Since this is not happening at the anniversary of their program enrollment, I'd click start. And what's really great about Clarity is that it cascades over the values that you entered on the previous data collection stage. So I'm going to change the date to be 04/115/2022 because that's the date that I found out that there was a change to their income. So I'm going to scroll down. I'm reviewing the things I collected previously for them. I should ask them if any of their situation has changed in terms of their disabling conditions or their DV status, their DV victim survivor status. But in this example, all that's changed is that they now have income. So I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to say that now they have acquired earned income, and they're making $750 a month from this earned income source. I'm going to scroll down. Nothing has changed for non-cash benefits. Nothing has changed for health insurance. So I'm going to save and close and create the status update. In the reports that we create to reflect activities with HMIS data, we're always bringing in the most recent data collection stage, the values from the most recent data collection stage that makes sense to. So we're going to pull the most recent income for a person from their most recent data collection stage within their active enrollment. So that's why it's important to track status updates and annual assessments and not overwrite data on the enrollment screen. So we're going to skip ahead in time. We're going to say, for the sake of this example, we're going to go to the anniversary of their program enrollment date. And I would be continuing to add current living situations as I went to document interactions and contacts I'm having with the person, verifying they're still experiencing homelessness, and adding those current living situations with appropriate dates to the system. But for the sake of the example, I'm going to move on to annual assessments. So jumping forward in time, I click Start, I click Add Annual Assessment. And now I go, and again, everything is cascaded over. If you remember, we updated the income from the entry from nothing to $750 of earned income. So everything is cascaded over from the status update that I created on 4/15. It always cascades from the most recently completed data collection stage. I'm going to update the date here for this annual assessment, and it's going to be 01/01/2023. You do have technically 30 days of grace for annual assessments, plus or minus. So I could do this sometime in December or sometime later in January. In terms of making it easier on yourselves, it makes the most sense to try to have it be exactly 1 year after the fact, or one year within their anniversary of their project start date. But you do have a little bit of grace in terms of it doesn't have to be the exact date. You do have 30 days before or after that you can create this annual assessment. If it's outside of that time frame, it will result in a data quality issue, flagging that they're missing an annual assessment completed within the date range HUD expects. So I scroll down. Again, nothing has changed for this person, disabling condition-wise. I scroll down, and let's say now they're making $1,250 of income. And let's say now that they're also receiving SNAP benefits. So I'm updating what's changed, and I'm leaving everything else the same that's still the same. I hit save and close, and now I've created my annual assessment. And all of these activities within One Home are incredibly important to keep people active, to provide updated details about their situation and what's going on with them, and to verify they're still in need of a housing resource. So finally, we're going to go over to the exit screen. Generally, within One Home enrollments, after you enroll them, you're also completing an assessment for them. Within One Home, that's one of our coordinated entry assessments. So right now, those are modified via SPDATs. So you're completing assessments. Those assessments are being added to our One Home community queue, and then based on details from their assessment and their enrollment, we are able to prioritize people and households for housing resources that are becoming available that match prioritization criteria. So I say all that to say, a lot of the time, exits in One Home result from people being referred to a housing program, connected to that housing program, and enrolled into that housing program. And when a housing move-in date is completed for them within that project that they're connected to, or they exit any program in the system to a house destination, they automatically get exited from One Home. So a lot of the time, manual exits are not happening in One Home because of the automatic exits that happen when people receive a housing move-in date or they exit to housing from another project in HMIS. But if you needed to create an exit for a person in HMIS in One Home manually, you'd go to the exit tab over here and you'd click that. And once you get into the exit, we're going to see that the bulk of the values that we have collected over time have cascaded in now from our most recent data collection stage, the most previously completed data collection stage, which is their annual assessment. So that $1,250 that we updated came through for earned income, and the fact that they're now receiving SNAP benefits came through as well. So the wrinkle here for the exit screen, again, snapshots of the person's situation along the way within this program enrollment. I'm going to change the date to be 3/1. That's when we're going to say they're exiting. And we're going to say, in this example, we're going to select a positive outcome for this person. We have determined they are staying or living with family on a permanent tenure. So we update the destination. The destination is really the only unique data element available on exit screens. So when we scroll down, the rest have cascaded over. I'm verifying that nothing else, I don't need to update anything else. I've done a good job with tracking updates over time. So everything looks good to me here. There's no changes down here. Let's say now they do receive health insurance at the time they're exiting. Let's say that it's Medicaid. So we update that and we save and close. So at a very high level, data collection stages in HMIS, again, are the entry screens, the enrollment screen, reflecting their situation at the time they are enrolled. You don't go back to the entry screen and make any changes unless you made a data quality issue or their overall disabling condition question value has changed, right? So if this became no, we need to update that here accordingly. Otherwise, we don't update anything on this entry screen. It reflects their situation at the time they were enrolled. We also create current living situation assessments every time we have an interaction with them, and we document where they are currently staying, where are they staying each night. When you're contacting them, what's their living situation in that moment? Are they still experiencing homelessness? Are they still in need of a housing resource? And tracking these current living situations keeps people active in one home and prevents them from showing up on the inactive list. We also track status updates anytime we're made aware of changes to a person's specific situation, whether that be about a specific disabling condition or income or non-cash benefits or health insurance. And then we also collect annual assessments at the anniversary of their project enrollment date. So plus or minus 30 days from the time, from 1 year and every year thereafter that they're enrolled in the program. And then finally, we create exits when they stop participating with the program or they no longer need assistance from the program. And all of these data collection stages are snapshots of their situation at the time you're creating these or gathering that information for each data collection stage. So hopefully this made sense. Please do reach out to us if you have questions about any of this guidance. We're happy to help clarify. And outside of a few wrinkles we discussed that are one home specific, at a very high level, this guidance is applicable to each and every project type in HMIS. So thanks so much for the work that you do. And again, please reach out if you have questions. Thank you.